One of the key things in order to crack the NLSAT examination is managing the time well. And I understand that you guys have been worried about time management, because this is one examination wherein subjective part is also involved, which is why I've come out with this video wherein I'm going to address all your doubts relating to time management. Hi guys, I'm Ayushi, your mentor for law-based examinations, and welcome to Law Digest. So what we will do is, part by part, we will understand that how much time are we supposed to give to both the parts. We understand that for both the parts, we get approximately 150 minutes in hand. Now this 150 minutes needs to be distributed amongst part A and part B both. Now, I'm not trying to say that, whatever timeline I give you here, that you stick by it, but I'm trying to give you a timeline which is reasonable and it can be done during this time, because time plays a very important role in this examination. Even if, you know the answers and you're running out of time, you don't have the time to write subjective answers or objective answers, then it really does not matter that how well you performed or how much questions did you know. Time is the essence here in this examination. So now when we are speaking of part A, let's start with first understanding that we have approximately 8 passages that are asked, and there are 8 to 10 questions per passage that are there, which leads us to 75 questions in total. Now those 75 questions, if we have to attempt all those 75 questions, whatever may be the division per passage wise. On an average, if we complete that in 9 minutes, so on an average we are giving 9 minutes to one passage. It approximately totals up to 72 questions. So you can adjust that 3 minutes here and there. Even, keeping those 3 minutes aside for some other work also can be done. Now here, if you will see, what I've written here is that in this time you have to read the passage as well and answer it. So you have those 9 minutes in hand, jisme you have to read and answer. How are we supposed to divide that? How much time should we give to reading and how much time should we give to answering? This is not very simple. It can be further divided into glancing of questions. Before reading down the passage, it is important that you have a glance at the passage, at the questions, because what happens is that generally if you sit down to read a passage, it does not really happen that, in one go you will completely understand the passage. In one go you will be able to answer all the questions. That does not happen. Generally, students do take time. Even if I am giving the examination, it would take time for me to read the passage again. So firstly, we have to keep this in mind, that all these 8 passages we have to read with a lot of concentration, right? Then for when glancing questions is involved, something that you need to do is answer the current affairs questions first. When you see the questions and you can easily spot down that, okay, this is the current affair question, let me answer it right away and mark it in your OMR sheet, because it is not that you can simply tick. That marking will also take time. So you have to mark your CA questions right there and then, because then you do not get the time to revisit. You cannot leave it for later. CA questions are something that if you know, and this is one paper wherein you cannot leave questions, because marks to wahan bhi katenge. There will be deduction of marks for leaving also or for wrong also. So better do all the questions rather than leaving out any question, right? Then don't read the options. When you're reading the questions, it is important that you don't read the options, because you might get confused. However, there are certain questions which would require reading of options, because the question does not say anything clearly. In that case, you might have to read. So you can skip those questions. First read the passage and come to those questions later. So in this glancing of questions and answering the current affair questions, you have 1 minute per question. So in that 1 minute, try to glance at the questions, answer the CA questions, and don't read the option. Then you get down to reading the passage. When you're reading the passage, pick out the keyword from the passage. Whatever paragraph you are reading of the passage, it will be divided into different paragraphs. Pick out the keyword for every paragraph and write on the side. that okay, this part talks about this part talks about this, so that you have an understanding when you're you're reading the passage for the first time. You know that okay, this paragraph is talking about this thing, so if in the question such and such topic will come, I need to come to this particular paragraph. It helps you that way. So write down those keywords. Then for reading the passage, you have approximately 4 minutes in hand. Read the passage down in 4 minutes. So 1 minute has already gone in glancing of the questions. 1 minute has gone in answering the current affairs questions. We are left with 7 minutes. In those 7 minutes, we are giving 4 minutes to reading the passage, wherein we are writing down the keywords on the side and we are translating. So when you're reading the passage, try to translate whatever is your local language, be it Hindi, Marathi, anything. You have to translate that passage in your local language, because that sort of becomes easier in your head that okay, this particular paragraph is talking about this fact. So try to translate that in your head. The things will become easier that ways. And then for answering, you have another 3 minutes. What I feel is that 4 minutes are good enough to read a 500 word passage, and you can also write down the keywords. Now, if person like me, I timed myself. I picked up the 2023 paper, and I saw that I was able to read the passage in 1.5 minutes. Now that I would say that I might be above the average student. An average student will be able to read in 2 minutes 15 seconds, I feel, right? Then noting down the keywords will take some time, because you have to pick up the pen and paper. There'll be some effort involved. Then you get down to answering. Now here, current affairs questions you have already addressed, so that will not be a deal for you. You have to see the questions wherein statement, argument, critical reasoning, these things are involved, which sort of becomes tough for students. So those are the questions wherein you will devote your maximum time here. Now there might be students who feel that should we do part B first and then part A? I would say that part B is something where if you've practiced enough, you can really think of your arguments and you can write it down. However, part A, if we keep it towards the end, the difficulty is that people are just not able to, rack their brains for those critical reasoning questions in panic. Because when we are approaching towards the last bit of the paper and the timing, we do tend to get a little anxious, which is why we are not even able to understand what we are reading or what is the question asking. We get disturbed at that point. So I would say that initially you can try and write part A. If you are well practiced for part A, then you can go for attempting part B first. Now we know for part B we have 75 minutes left. How are we supposed to attempt this? We have 7 questions in total, 6 subjective and 1 essay. For case study, we are going to write those 6 questions. We have 10 minutes per question. Now in that 10 minutes, what we have to do is we have to read the question. We have to frame our arguments on rough paper. Maybe you can write, frame it in your head, structure your question. How are you supposed to write? If you are doing good practice, then this timeline can be reduced, because structuring an argument will become into habit. So the only part that is involved is writing. Now writing also depends. You have to write approximately 300 to 350 words minimum. They say that you have to target to write 275 words. So try to write those 275 words, and it should not take a lot of time. Within 10 minutes, these questions can be done. Then you come to your essay. Again, essay does not involve the reading part. It only requires that you understand what the topic is and you break it down in your head. When you frame your arguments, you have to really structure your essay well. I've taught previously also that how are you supposed to structure your essay, structure that essay well, and then you get down to writing that essay. And 15 minutes is good enough time to write an essay. Remember, we are not talking about your current affair fact knowledge. We are more so relying on your ability to do critical reasoning here. That is what you are required to do here. So this is essentially your timeline. What we can do is that we can pick up a question from the past year paper and we can solve it together and see how much time does it take? Obviously, since I'll be dictating, I'll be speaking out loud, the actual time might vary. After this, I would request you that pick up one question from the past year, and as per the timeline that I've shared, try to see if you can do a passage in 9 minutes, and you can write down a subjective answer in 10 minutes, and see, are you left out with bonus time, or you require more time. And especially try to practice mocks, because mocks may there will be timer, and you will be able to practice well. You can exactly get down to writing properly. How it will be in the actual examination, mocks are already available on our website www.lawdigest.in. In case you have any further queries or doubts relating to the examination, you can reach out to me. Social media links are given in the description of this video. Also, make sure that you're following the channel, you've subscribed to the channel, and follow us on Instagram for daily legal updates.